Video about installing a Westfalia removable tow bar on a 2010 T5 Caravelle. So this is my 2010 VW T5 Caravelle, and I want to install a removable tow bar onto it. Not bothering with electric, but I do need the bar. It's got instructions, so I'm just going to follow those, but I thought it might be useful to video the process. First thing you actually have to do is remove the light clusters. They're very simple, just 2 screws in the side, they come out, and then you just slip off the connector. Second thing to do is actually remove these panels here. Do that now. Okay, those bits are off. You actually need a little Allen key. That's sort of that size, and it's these horrible little plastic screws which can be a bit of a bastard to get off. So thingies, and trying to actually use the Allen key, it just, I mean, it spins and it's just a complete nightmare, especially the ones that are under the bumper. In the end, I've got a set of these which are actually screw extractors, or I think, and this actually managed to get that one out fairly easily, so you may want to consider having the right things before you start this, because if you wreck these plastic things, then you'll never get the bumper back on. This one actually had to go really quite big on the extraction thing. It's just a kit that looks a bit like that. That's the only way I could get it out without just yanking it. To show how this side of this bumper is attached, there's all sorts of crap in there at the moment, but it is literally just held in with these. Yeah, I see. Is that supposed to take that out? Maybe. I've just pulled it. I'm hoping it'll go back on. There's one there. Bloody things. I thought I'd add that that bar thing was held in place in 2 places on each side with these, which are 13mm bolts, and then from what I can tell, in there is where part of where the tow bar is now going to attach. But in order to get those new bolts through, I have to go underneath and take out this plastic belly pan, which involves also taking out the spare wheel retaining jobby. And that is a big boy. Let's try that one. Yeah. Alright, there we go. Second time lucky. That's a 19. Start putting the tow bar on. The only thing I had to do was release most of this plastic tray which sits between the bottom of the vehicle and the spare tyre, which in my case is completely pointless because I've got like big 20-inch wheels on, and I don't have a spare, but nevertheless all that had to move out of the way, and it's held in place by a mixture of, whether this is right or wrong I don't know, maybe the person who had the car before me was doing stuff, but yeah, between 8 and 10mm little things and these retaining clips. Right, so anyway, with that in place, you can now get through. Hopefully we start putting this tow bar on. Right, so there's the bar in and on. Relatively simple. Kit came with all the bolts, which were 19mm bolts. They just go in through those holes that are vacated when you take off this thing. A little bit of wiggling and it went on pretty well. And yeah, obviously this highly scientific test shows that that's on and it ain't going to go anywhere. So one thing I mentioned earlier was a part that I didn't know if I needed to buy, and it's actually in the Westfalia instructions, and it's on all the forums. You need to buy this thing, 7HO80773, which is actually called a bumper mounting bar. Now, the thing that was interesting is in all the forums that I looked at, it talks about whether these are needed. And what it generally said was, in the vans, you needed to buy them, but in the people carrier vans, i.e. this Caravelle and I guess some of the sort of sport line transporters maybe, you don't need them because they're already in place. And I have a feeling that this is the part that I would have bought. I'm not 100% sure, but it certainly looks like that's what the bumper is now going to sit on, hopefully, when I put it all back together, if I can. Obviously I need to find a home for all that gubbins to do with the reversing sensors. I just figured out about this bumper, trying to get it back on. When I took the bumper off, I literally just ripped it out, and these little plastic screw rivet things just popped right off. But what I didn't notice at the time was in here, there was a screw that was, so you've actually got two you can get to. What I didn't notice is that there's one in behind it here, which goes into the bumper down there somewhere. But the point is, if you undo that screw, then rather than having to rip this all out, the bumper just slides off. So that would definitely be worth doing. And if you've got the same, don't just rip the bumper off, undo that screw, and then it will slide out, and you won't knacker any of these plastic things. Certainly I'm doing it properly in reverse, because then the bumper will just slide over the top of this thing, which will make it hopefully a hell of a lot easier to get back on. Bumper back on. All relatively okay. Still need to put it in from underneath and find a way to hide all the parking sensor wires. Here it is, all finished. All in there, very neat and tidy. Nice Westfalia removable towbar. So there we go, all done, all things considered. Not too bad really. Saved myself about 300 quid getting it done at the local independent. Pretty happy with the result. Seems to work okay. Is this a job for you? I don't know, but you need to be prepared to rip a few things off and break a few things and this, that and the other, but if that's for you, then crack on, I say. Right, anyway, until the next one.